Well, thanks to you. Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Anibal Munoz. I'm from University of Puerto Rico at Humacao, and I'm also the Puerto Rico TESOL Vice President this year. First of all, I would like to thank you, Rob and Gracia, for this wonderful opportunity for me to share one of the topics that I am very passionate about, and that is the acculturation. And this time I'm presenting the topic as the title Towards the Conquest of the Social Linguistic Justice in ESL Learning in Puerto Rico. Let's see if I can work the slides here. Using the cursor, excuse me. Where, first of all, I'd like to present that there is a timeline of 3 centuries apart about the attitudes of Puerto Ricans towards the learning of the English language in Puerto Rico. As it started way back in 1898, when the arrival of the United States Puerto Rico, there's a lot of language imposition, and English was imposed upon schools. Then towards the middle of the 20th century, there was a feeling of language distress. There's a lot of resistance. There was a lot of apprehension for Puerto Ricans to learn the language. And as it moved forward all the way to 2016 or 17 now, there has been a serious transformation of these attitudes. And this is the one that I'm referring to, the process that we're going through. Now, this was very well depicted by one of Puerto Rico's most prominent writers, Mr. Abelardo Diaz Alfaro, when in the 1940s he contextualized the critical period in Puerto Rico in which both cultures, American and Puerto Rican, they met head on. He wrote a lot of stories to that regard, El Josco, Pedro Merced, Enseña Inglés, and many other stories that contextualize the problem, the resistance of many Puerto Ricans to learn and impose language on the schools. Then after Abelardo, there's a lot of things that happened in Puerto Rico. For instance, I'm presenting here the Great Transformation. It's a transformation, social, educational transformation, and socio-economic, in which Puerto Rico turned from an agrarian country, went into manufacturing, and there were a lot of other factors there, migration tendencies, the rise of private schools, military influence, the mass consumerism of the 70s, even the arrival of cable TV, all of this transition into the communication era of the 21st century. Now, having said that, also, there's a new tendency that we all know about new Englishes and English varieties. It's sprouting all over the world. With this in mind, there are a lot of writers, young writers in Puerto Rico, that are already presenting the new attitudes and the different attitudes that Puerto Rican students and learners have shown over the English language. So for this is part of the acculturation process that we're presenting. It's a mindset change. It's actually a proposal in which we are telling Puerto Ricans that English, it's theirs by right, by historical rights. So we're calling for an English ownership. In this way, the language, just like Spanish, Puerto Ricans can own that language. They can make it them. Right now, I like to use the rented house perceptions, in which many Puerto Ricans thought in the past that English language was just a rented house, that they couldn't make any changes or modify it. This is the mindset change that I'm proposing, or a group of us, we are proposing, that we should invite English into our culture, our way, with these modifications. But that means how, when we ask the questions, how can we claim this social linguistic justice in the learning of English in Puerto Rico, we're proposing how. One of the ways is to insert ourselves very deeply into the literature. As a matter of fact, my own doctoral dissertation a few years back, I called it the Puerto Rican Acculturation of English Literature, in which what we have to do is embrace the process of using Puerto Rican literature in English. As a matter of fact, here I'm presenting 5 of the books that I have written. And to that effect, we created an organization called the Puerto Rican English Writers Association. And what we're doing is writing in English to help Puerto Rico, following pretty much the path of renowned linguists like Castro, with the things that he did in India. In order for this to happen, we're calling this a mediation process, the Vygotsky's theory. Now, this mediation process, as explained, it entails that when you're writing in every page, you should have Spanish titles, user-friendly vocabulary, Puerto Rican context, OAS, common sayings, and even swears, a lot of anglicized forms. By using those in your writings in every page, students will become familiarized with it. They will present a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership. Thus, this will augment and it will increase their academic achievements and their literature appreciation for the language. Then again, bringing along this mindset change that we're proposing about language ownership. But again, the process has to be to acculturate the English literature to write about Puerto Rican literature in English. And then as a conclusion, I think this social linguist aims that we can eradicate this cultural imposition and the biased perceptions towards the ESL learning in Puerto Rico. We still have a lot of people who are inclined to think that to learn English in Puerto Rico will mean to accept an American imposition of a culture. These are two different aspects. The learning of the language is for communication. And if we can provide our students with this kind of literature, most certainly we can sort of kill the two birds with one stone in there. Also, to learn English language skills more willingly. Our students, when they read, contextualize, meaningfully relevant literature, it's a different story for them. Also, in our country, it's so a lot of things are politicized by two parties, people advocating either for independence or statehood. So here we have to take away the educational crusade out of the political movements. Therefore, to provide more specific educational policies in our department, also to embrace a 21st century mentality. And as I am saying here, this mentality will also strengthen our Puerto Rican identity even further. So all of this is what we have to keep in mind in order for us to bring the best of this acculturation process. Well, I really hope I did my time, Rob. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, and gracias for the great opportunity. And Merry Christmas to all. Thank you.
Actually, you're very fast. You still have a couple minutes.
Okay. I was timing myself. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, it's great. Tell me, why don't you take an opportunity? Tell us about the Teacher Association there in Puerto Rico.
Right. This association, it came about right after we finished our doctoral dissertation. There were a group of teachers, a group of professors, along-wide, private and public education teachers that were already writing in the literary genre. They were writing poetry, short stories, and novels. But yet there were so random incidents all over the island. And what we're trying to do is to identify and group themselves so we can call ourselves a movement, and then to show others at different conventions, at different forums, that a thing like this could be done. I was following the footsteps of Cashew and many others that have done that in India by providing this literature rather than being in isolated cases, that it's a unified front, a unified movement that we can propose further educational policies for the Department of Education or the private schools who are willing to use a movement like this in order to enhance or in order to boost the students' appreciation for literature in English, but contextualized and culturally relevant for them.
Very good. And where do people go if they want to get in touch and become part of this? Is this the blog spot here?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Rob, for that question. Yes, there's two things. There's the Facebook page. It's called BoricuanLiterature.com on Facebook. And also you have the PREWA, that's the acronym for the Puerto Rican English Writers Associations. It's PREWA, PREWA.blogspot.com. That's where you find all the information, the links. And what we're doing is we're making this compilation of all the production, the literary productions that we have done already in Puerto Rico, not only for us, but also for the people who are in the States and the Caribbean as well.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you again for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time on Sunday.
Well, thank you, Rob. Thank you for this great opportunity to all. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye now.